Welcome back, friends. As part of our AWS learning series, today we are in our day 16. Okay, we are going to deep dive into Lambda and going to integrate the same with our event monitoring use case. So, if you remember, in our last session, we have implemented the same, right? So, where we have monitored the event for a new resource creation and triggered an SNS notification email to our email IDs. So let as a quick recap, right? So what happens? AWS config generates the events as you see in this image, which will be consumed by the event bridge. Okay, event bridge pushes those events into the default event bus, which is getting created automatically when we create an event bridge. Okay, you if you need, we can even configure our own custom event bus, but as for our example, we have used only default event bus where you see all the events getting flown. Okay, if you look at here, there are like yellow and blue color events are flowing, right? So in which yellow is nothing but which matches to the rule, so which is coming to our rule monitor for the comparison, and it matches, so that okay, if as the rule is getting matched, it's pushing it to the email notification using SNS service, whereas the blue, the unmatched event will still reside in the event bus. After a period of time it get archived, and if you want to push the archived or unused events to an SQS or any other systems, yes, it's possible to do that. Okay, so what are we going to do here? So as part of as we discussed in our previous session, I am going to introduce a Lambda in between the rule and simple notification service, in order to manage that if the newly created resource is having the proper compliance, right? Means to say that, so as per our enterprise standard, so as an administrator of AWS or as a platform engineer or DevOps engineer, we might have given some guidelines to the application team stating that, hey team, like whenever you create any new resources, you should have all these tags created, which will help us to audit, or which will help us to segregate the billings and everything, right? You hope in our initial session I have explained you what is the benefits of tags. So we are saying that okay, any application should have a BU tag. Okay, so as part of that, we have seen what is serverless and how to write a basic Lambda function. Okay, how the Lambdas works, what is a trigger, and what is its downstream and everything, right? So let's without the further ado, let's jump into our practicals and see how to do the same with Lambda. So when you work with Lambda, there will be few more minor configurations which we need to do. Hope that's not new, which we have seen in the earlier sessions as well. Okay, let's go into the thing, right? Okay, so first let's go to the config service. Hope you all know why config, because config is the one which is going to capture all the events, right? So let me do a one click setup. Okay, let it done. Okay, great. So my config is ready. Let me go into event bridge. Bridge. Okay, here is my event bridge. Let me check if any rules are there, or else I will clear that. Okay, no rules are there. Let me create a new rule. So rule name is like monitor new resource creation. Maybe monitor new bucket or EC2, right? So let's put as bucket for our example. Okay. So if you look at, this is what I was showing in the diagram, event bus. Okay, if you look at this image, right, this event bus is nothing but the default event bus which got selected already. So probably you might not have noted it down, so just have a look. If you need, you can even create a new one for your purpose. Okay, then the rule. Okay, the same we are going to follow. We are going to have a pattern. Okay, so I'm going to capture all the events. Okay, sample event I don't want to do because we know, like already we have done all these things earlier, so probably I should have the saved event. So if you need to understand like why I am selecting this, how do I came to this particular thing, why it's all enclosed with square brackets, you need to watch our previous video where I have explained everything in the detail, because this is very very important to know. Unless if you don't know this, then it's really difficult to write the event. Okay, So as I haven't selected any sample event, I cannot test it. That's fine. Okay, I am matching for the resource S3 bucket, and for resource discovered means that okay, any new resource is discovered, I am going to match in S3 bucket alone. Okay, then okay, what is target service? Okay, for now let me go and create a lambda, duplicate lambda. So I'm going to create a lambda because I'm going to associate this with my event bridge. So let me create a new function, author from scratch, validate bu tag existence. Okay, so I'm going to use Python runtime. Okay, all these are fine. So here it says create a new role with lambda permission. So let it create the new role with the default permission. I will tell you like how to modify and everything. Let it create on its own. Let's wait for the function to create. Okay, so now I have a validate bu tag existence lambda function created. So I'm going to associate it this as a target. So here is my lambda. So what is a valid bu tag existence? Okay, additional settings. So let it be a matched event. Next, next, create rule. So now if you look at, I have a rule created. So if you go here, we have a config created, we have event created, we have bus, and we have a rule. So now I also created a lambda. So let's see how it works. I think everything I have shown you already in our introduction to lambda session, previous session. If you guys have, if I remember correctly, it's day 15. If you guys have not watched that, I would highly recommend to watch that because I have explained each and everything there about the lambda and everything. So okay, let's go and see what is the code. So here we do have only one thing. Okay, I think probably I might have the code. Okay, let me copy till this. Okay, if you guys have seen my earlier video of day 15, we might have completed the code till this. Okay, I might have completed the code till this. So if you create a function, it should probably print it. So let me deploy this code first. Okay, maybe I will put in the same way so that it returns, but it won't print. Let me add it here. Body trigger SNS notification. Okay, so I hope till this we have seen in last session. So let me deploy this code. So I don't want to test now. Let me duplicate the tab. Okay, let me go to S3. Okay, so I need to create a bucket. So as I mentioned, whenever you create a config bucket will be created, and again it's going to be charging you guys. Okay, remember, okay, the charges will be minimal, but ensure that okay, you delete it, and also how to delete the config and everything I have explained in my previous session. So if you are continuously watching my session, then only you will understand all these concepts, or else it will be difficult to follow. Okay, so now my expectation is that okay, whenever someone create a bucket, okay, it should run this lambda, and I should see this message in my logs for now. Okay, but before that, as usual, as I was repeating this particular thing in all my sessions, you guys need to remember, okay, how the connectivity happens. Okay, see for now, if I after my refresh, you see, as I connected my lambda to my rule, you see it got added as a trigger. Okay, so now if you understand, so as CloudWatch event has been added as a trigger to Lambda, so Lambda should understand what CloudWatch it should access event bridge. So right now, if you go and look at your configuration permissions, it has only permissions to write to CloudWatch. So that's a default permission when gets added when you create a Lambda. Okay, this is where like many people does the mistakes, and also many people try to answer their interview question. So okay, whenever I create a Lambda, by default CloudWatch rule gets added so that it can able to write to the basically it can create a log group and also put events in the log stream. So that's the rule basically. Let me open a new tab. Let me duplicate this. So if you go here, let's go to the IAM. I have explained almost everything. Probably it might be a duplicate which our earlier session, but as far as the continuity, I need to explain those things first before we actually jump into Lambda, right? So let's get into the role. You will see one role called AWS Service Role Config. Okay, this role is created for config to monitor all the services in AWS. Okay, this has been also explained earlier. Validate BU tag existence. This role was created for Lambda to give basically like to facilitate to create a log group and log streams basically. So if you see this is a Lambda. So if you go here, it will be specifically for logs. So one is to create a log group and one is to create log stream and put the log events. So basically all the log events which is captured by Lambda, it will like whatever the issue happens when you run and everything will get returns to the CloudWatch logs. So that's where like we will monitor the Lambda status, because as Lambda is serverless and why we it needs a CloudWatch and everything I have explained in my previous session. Okay, so great. With this I think there should not be any doubt. Okay, now as I included event bridge here, I need to add event bridge permission to my Lambda so that my Lambda can read these events, or else or understand these events, or else like my Lambda could not connect and read. So as I mentioned earlier, it's all about what to say like roles. Without role, no service can interconnect. So that's the main reason. So I'm going here. So I'm going to add one more policy. So let me create an inline policy. So in this inline policy, I'm going to select event bridge. Okay. What are the action allowed? For now, I am going to select everything. But if you want to be more specific, you can say like, okay, write, read and everything. But I don't want to, because we have seen all these things earlier too in other sessions. So I don't want to do. And all the resources. Let me give next. Policy name like, okay, permission for event bridge. Okay, something like that. So that I can use it for anything. Okay, now I have added event bridge. So my Lambda can able to read everything from the event bridge now. Okay. So now let me try to create a bucket and see what happens. So my bucket name is like, okay, testing Saathwic. Okay, I am not going to do anything, and also like I am not going to add any tags to it. So if I am not adding any tags to it, what it does as per the code? Okay, if there is no tag, it will say like, okay, I need to trigger an SNS notification. Let's see what happens. Last time we just triggered a manual event and validated by testing it in the Lambda itself. Now I am going to create an real-time event to see what happens. Let's see what's the execution status. Okay, view CloudWatch log. log groups. Okay, so still now it's not created anything. So once it see the event, it could be able to create it. It may take some 1 or 2 minutes of time. Okay, bu okay, it will take 1 or 2 minutes, guys, so we need to wait. Okay, so our Lambda has created some log group. Okay, and also it created a log stream. Both the options we have given. Let's see what is the event it's put. So if you look at here, right, so the code is working as expected. If you look at here, it has printed a message saying trigger SNS notification. Okay, hey, once again, guys, I am getting a call. Let me pause the sorry, it was an important call. Okay, so if you look at as per my code, so as per my code, if a bucket created which does not have a tag in it, okay, then the else block should print trigger SNS notification, which you are seeing in my CloudWatch logs. Means that my Lambda triggered and it validated the new bucket whatever I created, testing Saathwic, which does not have tag. Okay, let's go into the code and see which tag I am referring to. I am referring to app name tag. So basically any buckets which is getting created, it should have an app name tag. Okay, what I would do, I will write a print statement here just to ensure that, okay, this is getting tracked. Okay, app name tag found in bucket. No action required. So let me add this because I'm going to create a bucket with app name tag so that I can see this particular message in my CloudWatch. Let me deploy this code as well. Okay, so let me go and create a new bucket again. So let me go to buckets, create a bucket, test Saathwic. Okay, this time I'm going to add a tag. So what tag I'm going to add? App name. So I'm going to say it's for HR business unit. So HR unit. Okay, so let me create a bucket. So let's go and watch our CloudWatch to see what's happening. So probably you should create another stream, log stream, and write the execution results. So probably we need to wait for 1 or 2 minutes to see what's happening. So guys, understand this is the how you work in real time. Okay, so any DevOps engineer or platform engineer who are like kind of a monitoring the new resource creation and triggering all the alerts, right? These are kind of an housekeeping activity for a DevOps engineer. Okay, he needs to monitor whether every resource which is getting created as tags, everything is like as per your standards, and also he has to monitor like any EBS volume is lying without attaching to any instances. We need to see like if anyone is using like high CPU or instance type. So there are multiple things needs to be watched, but whatever I am showing in my example is one of them. Okay, you guys needs to try for everything. Okay, so probably you guys can see like, okay, now I am showing you the example for bucket. So you need to have one more function, okay, which will validate for EC2. You can have one more function which will validate for other services like ALBs, whatever you want to try. Okay, let us go to the CloudWatch again and refresh. Okay, the execution has not yet started. Or let me see if it's got added to the same one. No. So this is how it's been watched in real time, and moreover I don't think so people will be showing you with the config how it works and everything, because like it's going to be charging them as well, so you might not see much video of real time. Okay, So now if you see, the latest run is at 19. Okay, so if you look at this log, see, you see, right, app name tag found in bucket, no action required. So this is how in real time they will watch. But okay, in real time they are not going to open CloudWatch and check. They will get an incident or they will raise an email to you. So let's see how to do that. Even I have written that. Okay, in case of an A issue. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, right, even in my last session I said, if you want to connect to any of the services, there is a library in Python called Boto3. So what I am saying, Boto3 to create a client for SNS service. Okay, there is a detailed documentation for SNS service in Boto3. SNS plus Boto3 documentation. Okay, so if you go here and basically, if you have watched my SNS video, you by this time you know what is topic, what is publish and everything. So I am going to select publish. If you go here, it gives you the exact syntax how to publish a message to SNS, and also it will have all the operations and with an example. Okay, so everything will be there in this Boto3 documentation. So the same I have just created here. In case if you want any references, you can use. Okay, so what I have did, I have created a client for Boto3. Okay, and I have created a message. What message I am going to use? So I am saying I am going to send a JSON format message, which is nothing but status bucket created with no valid tags. Please take action. Okay, again, see, if you want to send a message with, okay, the bucket name detail and everything, yes, it's absolutely you can do. Whereas you need to get that into a variable and you send that variable to the message. Okay, for that you need to know the Python. So you need to have like basic understanding of Python as I mentioned earlier. So if you know that, you can just create a variable and add it here. Okay, by plus sign. There are many ways to do that too. Okay, and the response client.publish, which I have shown in the document, right? So I am going to use client.publish, and there are few mandatory and few optional arguments. If you study to this, you will understand. So I have just used few of the mandatory arguments here, saying that okay, what is the target ARN? So target ARN is nothing but here I said I am going to use SNS service. So what is my SNS service? So if you duplicate this, or maybe I will go here. Okay, SNS. Okay, so this is the same old SNS which we have using from our day one. So this is going to be my SNS, and I have already subscribed with my email Saathwic Infotech. Okay, the same SNS I am going to use. This is the ARN of the SNS. Okay, so that's one I have given here, and I am going to pass it as a JSON. Okay, so I am saying like dump this message as again. See, even though I create it as a JSON, I am just dumping it as a, here it will be as a string, and I am forming it as an another JSON internally. Okay, so and then I am saying like message structure is JSON. So if I deploy this code, okay, and if I create a bucket, okay, how many of you think it will send an email? Just whenever you go through this video, just think about it. Okay, how many of you think this will work perfectly fine? Okay, just take a moment and think whether it will work or not. Okay, if we have guessed it, okay, it will work, then we are wrong. It won't work. Why? The reason is again I need to grant access to my SNS. My Lambda does not know what is SNS, how to connect to it, and also it does not have privilege, basically like access. Even though my Lambda knows what is SNS and everything, it does not have access to connect to that particular SNS. So I need to again go back to my role. So this is my Lambda permission. So here I need to add one more policy. Guys, understand this is where you are going to play around. Your policies, roles, users is really important. Okay. So again add inline policy. Okay, now To which service I am going to add? I am going to add for SNS. Select the SNS. Okay, what are the permission I need to give? I can select all. Or if you want to restrict, as I mentioned earlier, like if you expand this, you will understand what is that. So basically for me, I am going to need to publish. I need a publish access. So if I select this alone, it's sufficient. But okay, for testing, I don't want to do. If you guys want to really test it, yes, maybe I will also show you. So if you just select this alone, it's fine. Or if you want to select all, it's also fine. But in real time, again, guys, for practicing, it's all okay whether you select all or anything. But in real time, you need to understand each and every function. There is an info. Okay, if you click on that, it will say what does it do. Okay, you need to understand, and then only you need to grant. So for example, if I select info and publish, grant permission to send message to all the topics subscribed endpoints. So that's what I need. So I'm going to select this one alone. Specific topic ARN to add permission 14, add ARN should exist. No. Okay, basically all resources. Okay, next. So what is the policy name? SNS publish policy. Okay, so let me create a policy one second, guys. Sorry. Okay, sorry, guys. So yeah. Uh, so if you look at, now I have granted the permission to publish the policy. So now if I create any event, any buckets, let me go to the bucket. Meantime, let me delete this so that I can reuse the same names. Maybe I will give SNS test Saathwic. Okay, great. So I'm going to create this bucket. So I am not going to add any tags now. Okay, I'm not going to add any tags. Let me create this bucket. Meanwhile, let me open my Gmail. So I don't have any email so far. So let me go and watch my CloudWatch. So based on that, I can confirm. So CloudWatch should get updated with the third log stream. No, that the job has not yet triggered. Let's wait for a few more seconds. So it's still not started its execution. Probably the event is just getting flown to event bridge and other things might be happening. Yep. So the third run started at 9:09. Okay, if you look at this log, you should be seeing that message. Okay, probably I removed that, I guess, right? One second. Go to the code. Yeah, I removed the message. I don't have any print statement. That's why you are not seeing any print here. But you see something here, right? About SNS created runtime ARN version. Okay. Okay, fine. Let me check in my email. Great. So if you look at my email, I got an JSON message saying that status bucket create with no valid tags take action. So you can even customize your message, okay, with your bucket names and everything, but it's like done through be programmatical. Okay, you need to do everything programmatically in Lambda function. And also if you want to implement logger, everything you can do. So if you are good at programming in Lambda Python, you can do everything with Lambda. Okay, one of the best and most used services in AWS by most of the teams, okay, in any projects. Either you are an AI or you are an analytics resource, or you are a data scientist using AWS, or you are a DevOps engineer or data engineer, whoever you might be. So they will be using Lambda for sure for at least one use cases. Okay, great. So let me try one thing, right? Let me remove this policy now. SNS publish policy. Generally, I will show you the error and then I will fix. But this time I directly did it. Sorry about that. Okay, let's try to create the bucket again. Okay, let me create a bucket called test Saathwic now. Without tag, you will get an error. Test Saathwic. By that way, you understand. Okay, you will see this error message when there is no proper permission. Okay, great. So I have created a bucket. So bucket has been created. Maybe CloudWatch has to get refreshed. It may take a minute or so. Let's wait for a second. Okay, let's wait. What's happening? It's just created. No, not it. Let's see the error as well. I'm waiting for the error. Not it. Not it. So the again the problem with serverless is that okay, you need to create your logs and as I mentioned earlier, you need to push it to cloud logs and keep for your reference. No other way that you can validate. Here also you will see run executions if you have triggered it from Lambda directly, or if you refresh also, I think you might see something. Monitor recent innovations. Okay, it does not even refresh, it's showing just 2. So it's far better to watch it from here. No, not it. The fourth one is not triggered yet. Probably it might be trying for once or twice and then it throws an error. Okay, it's not yet came. So probably this is all the setup which we do generally. Okay, maybe I might have explained one or the other instances, almost everything. So from next session onwards, probably we will see how to use code deploy. Okay, with AWS. Okay, with that itself, I will explain you, or maybe I will give you the introduction about cloud formation, and then we move towards our code deploy. So cloud formation is another important topic which you guys need to understand in AWS. Okay, still it's taking time. It's 19:12. 4 minutes have passed. Okay, no, it's not yet received. This is the old one, right? Yep, I think it's appended to the same one. So if you look at now, you see an authorization error which triggered at 9:14. Okay, it appended to the existing log stream. So if you look at, it clearly gives us authorization error exception, and our error occurred authorization when calling publish operation. So it says whenever I try to publish this message to the SNS, it cannot authorize himself. So that's where the role plays a vital role. So whenever you see these kind of error, you guys should strike through and understand that okay, some permission issues are going on, I need to fix it. Okay, it also says when calling a publish operation, user ARN, so STS assume role for this particular Lambda, it's not working as expected. So that's what it's saying. So I think whatever I am thought of explaining you, I think I have covered for the day. If you guys need any additional, okay, use cases which you guys are trying to do, or if you guys are trying to answer, having trouble in answering in your interview, just let me know so that I can create a video and publish the same also. Okay, this is again whatever I explained today itself an interview question. Okay, they might ask you like, okay, how are you guys are monitoring your resource creation, how are you validating if the resources are compliant as per your business standard. It can be asked in multiple ways. So whenever this question has been asked, you should be in a position to explain this process completely. If you explain this process again, the interviewer is going to circle with the same services. By that way you get an opportunity to answer to the questions which you are very well aware of. Okay, probably if you answer this use case, he might be asking, okay, is there any other use case you can implement with the AWS config? Tell me something about event bus, what you do when there is no rule matching for the event. Okay, it's get archived, right? So I said you can create another rule to archive it. Okay, there is something like archive rule which you can push it to SQS or something. Okay, whether you can have Lambda and also SNS, so almost like you can set for 1 2 3 4 services along with Lambda, right? So you, if you are able to answer this question, interviewer will be like keep asking the questions around it. By that way it's easy for you to crack the interview as well. Okay, so you can share that, okay, when we did it like there was an experience where we missed to bound the role to Lambda for event bridge, and also like we created a code but we missed to bound the role to Lambda for SNS publish. So if you keep speaking about your project or this particular use case, it's going to take you like another 20 minutes or 30 minutes, where the interviewer will be far sure you will be impressed about it, the way you explained, right? So think about it and do the things properly. Okay, and again practice. Okay, unless and until you practice by yourself, you are not going to recollect the service names. Okay, or the options whatever I am saying, the publish rules and everything, the key points you will forget, and also the database. Okay, rules, how it's getting archived and everything, you will for sure you are going to forget after my watching this video. So I request you guys to practice along with me, and also clear the resources after you have practiced. Okay, we have created around 4 to 5 resources so far: buckets, Lambda, rules, and also a config. So you need to clear everything. If you leave your config on, it's going to keep monitoring and putting into the bucket, and it's going to write to the cloud trail, everything it will do. Okay, so better clear all your resources before you log off your system. Okay, thanks for watching guys. Thanks for your time.